Today on Contractor Cast, we're talking about how customer service skills can make or break your home service business. Stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Contractor Cast. As always, if this is your first time here, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future videos. But today what I wanted to do was talk a little bit about customer service skills and exactly what that means for your business, because I think a lot of people sort of overlook the importance of customer service. And whether or not you have a dedicated person answering your phones or handling customer service related issues, or you're the owner operator doing the same thing, handling those calls or talking with customers directly, it's really important that you do it correctly. And if you're not doing it, it can really be hurting your business. So today we're going to kind of talk about a few of those things that go into customer service skills and what you want to look for when it comes to employees who are maybe doing it for your business or how you're handling it yourself. I have a lot of clients who, when I try to reach them, I'm calling their direct business line. And I think that's one of the things that people don't realize really. If customers can't contact you, they're going to move on to the next person that they can contact. There's very little loyalty when it comes to things like that. So, again, when a customer has an emergency or needs service today or is looking for answers or has a question, they want to talk to somebody. And you want to make sure that you're not missing those phone calls. And when you are answering those phone calls, you want to make sure, obviously, that you're not in a rush, that you're not very short with the customer. I was always sort of taught that if you're going to interact with a customer on a phone, that you need to they need to hear your smile. They can't see you. They can't see, what's going on visually. So the only thing they have to go off of is your voice. And you really want to sort of smile with your voice and make sure that the customer is happy. And you may be hands deep in the middle of an issue, but if you're answering that phone call of that potential customer, you really need to turn off the problem and turn on, addressing that customer's needs and really giving them your full attention. And so a lot of people kind of look at it like, well, if I don't get this call, there'll be another call in 10 minutes or there'll be another call later. Obviously I think that's the wrong approach to have, because a caller can sense that, right? Like they get a feeling that their business to you isn't very important. And so you definitely want to try and stay away from invoking those types of feelings when it comes to potential customers, because those negative phone interactions can have they can have a serious impact on your company. It can lead to people even leaving a bad review just from not even getting service from you, but just from the interaction that they have with your customer service staff. So you really want to make sure that your staff and you are on top of taking care of the customer who's on the phone with you at that time. So ultimately, every call matters, because for the majority of people out there, if they have a negative call experience, that's going to eliminate them being your customer today or even in the future sometime. And that's going to also have a negative impact on their friends and neighbors as they, share that information with them. So again, every call counts. So today I want to share 9 tips that you can use to improve your customer service skills on the phone. Tip number 1 is answer the phone. That's the number 1 priority. Again, like I mentioned earlier, I can't tell you how many times I've tried to call my own clients through their own line and have been unable to reach them. And if I can't reach them, as I mentioned, then your customers can't reach you. And so you really want to make sure that either you, an answering service, a dedicated employee, somebody is answering every single call that comes in. Not answering a call is like leaving money on the table, because they're definitely going to be hanging up that phone and calling the next HVAC, the next plumber, the next electrician on their list, and you've just lost business. So my second tip is to have some personality. You don't want to be robotic. You don't want to have this bland way of speaking. You really want to have some personality, not over the top personality, but enough that people can see that you're genuinely interested in talking with them. Again, like I mentioned earlier, so they are seeing your smile. They are envisioning talking to a person who's smiling and enjoying their day. And you're being human. You're just interacting with them on a personal level. You just have to sort of, if that's not your way of interacting with people, you've got to sort of step outside of that shell and make sure that whoever's answering your phone has some sort of personality. My third tip is going to be expressing empathy. And so when your customers are calling in and they've got that leak, or they've got that AC that's not working in the middle of summer, or their electrical issue is preventing them from having that birthday party, empathize that you understand and know what it is that they're going through, and you feel for them, and you get it. That's what a customer who is in that particular need at that time, just ultimately wants to know that someone understands their issue, their frustration, and wants to do everything that they can to resolve it. When that customer calls in and says that their AC is broken, the thing that I tell people a lot of times is just to kind of say it back to them. Oh, your AC is broken? Oh man, I understand that. You must be really uncomfortable. I'm definitely going to try to get someone out there today that can take care of that issue for you. So again, just simple empathy, that you heard what they have an issue with, that you are, that you understand what their frustration is, and that you definitely want to, try and get someone from your team out to take care of their issue as soon as possible. My fourth tip today is going to be plan to schedule something, right? So you always want to be in the mindset, your CSR or whoever's answering the phone, you always want to be in the mindset that you're booking something with that customer. Whether it's an estimate, whether it's, someone just to come out and take a look, whatever the case may be, whether it's an actual maintenance call, you want to be in the mindset that you want to book something on that call. Because getting your technician out to a location just to assess the issue, a lot of times once that process has started, they're more than likely going to be going with you to go through the entire business. Homeowners don't want to have multiple people in and out of their house looking at the issue. Once you establish that, you can get your foot in the door and you can assess the issue for them. And again, it goes back to how your technicians interact with that customer once they get there. But more than likely, they're going to continue down that road with you to get their issue resolved. My fifth tip is going to be to not interrupt. A lot of times when we're on the phone, I already know what the issue is. Oh, it's this and that, and we want to sort of get the customer to the point. But one thing you have to sort of do is kind of take a step back, let the customer explain what it is they have to explain, say it however they want to say it, and again, don't interrupt them, let them speak. Some CSRs have a sort of a pre-written way of going about their calls. And sometimes you have to go off script a little bit because based on what the customer is saying. So we really have to be attentive to what they're saying. And we can only do that really if we don't interrupt the customer. We will really want to make sure that we are hearing everything that the customer says so we can address those things fully, not just sort of get caught up in what it is that we want to say because this is what I say on every call. And plus customers just get annoyed with interruption, right? They feel like they're not being heard. They feel like they're being rushed or that they're not, that what they're saying isn't important. So again, we don't want to make the customer feel that way. My sixth tip is to not get worked up about not being able to give a quote. So this is one that is a big sticking point for a lot of people. When a customer calls in, they don't know the internal process. They don't know, that a technician needs to look at certain things to really determine exactly what that price is going to be for them. And so, they're not an HVAC technician. They're not an electrician. They're not a plumber. They don't know what all goes into assessing exactly how much something is going to cost. And, but as a customer, I want to just know, I want to know how much is this going to cost me? And so we have to not get frustrated. CSRs just can't get frustrated when talking to customers on the phone, and have to maybe do a better job of explaining what all goes into being able to assess in order to give a quote. One thing that CSRs can do, though, is give a range of pricing, right? So, you can go from your low end and all the way up to your high end, and then say something to the effect of, without physically seeing the issue, it's hard to give you an exact price, but, on average, this particular issue ranges from X to Y. Just giving them that price range puts them at ease just a little bit. And maybe they get a little bit closer to understanding that, okay, well, this is what I'm sort of looking at. And that's really what a customer wants to know is, can they afford what it is that you're promising to come out and do? My seventh tip is to inform your CSRs. So whoever's going to be answering the phone from you, they have to know what it is you do. They have to know everything about what you do, all the things that are, all the service and products that are available. Because when that customer is telling that long-winded story about, what their issue is, and they have their script that they're following, you want to be able to break from that script based on what the customer is saying and match that with a product or service that you as a company offer. And to make sure that, the customer may think that they need, but when I'm listening to what the customer is explaining to me that what the issue is, oh, what you really are saying or what you're needing is something completely different. And so a well-informed CSR is going to be super beneficial. If I don't know what my company does, it's really hard for me to answer people's questions when they call in. Just being informed with the service area that you work in, right? When you get a call from outside of your service area and you don't know that as a CSR, you're setting up expectations for someone that you're not going to be able to deliver on. They're going to get a sour taste in their mouth once that comes back, and could ultimately leave a negative review when that could have just been avoided in the first place. That, oh, you actually don't, live within our service area. Let me see if I can find somebody for you in your service area, or maybe you have a recommendation for somebody outside of your service area for someone. So again, a well-informed CSR is going to be super beneficial. My 8th tip is smile when you're on the phone. So I've already kind of said this, that customers should want your customers to hear you smiling. One of the best ways to pull that off is to actually smile when you're talking. It's just like being at a party or being in front of someone physically. When you're smiling and you're talking to someone, it just brings out a completely different part of your personality. So one of the ways that you can make sure that your customers sort of hear your smile is to actually smile while you're talking and speaking with them on the phone. Because even if they're in a particular bad situation that they need help with immediately, having a great attitude, smiling, that's contagious, and you can put that customer at ease, with that personality that you have. And finally, my last tip is going to be that you ultimately just need to hire the right personality. You can have all the tips that you want to have, but if you don't have the correct person to pull those things off, 1 through 8 that I've just mentioned, if you don't have the right person in place to do those things, then it's just not going to be a good fit. So you really just need to, at the end of the day, make a good decision about who it is that's going to be answering those phone calls for you. Who is that CSR going to be? If it's going to be you as the operator owner, then make sure you're hitting all the tips that we just mentioned. If it's your CSR that you're hiring, make sure that you have something that you can either listen in on their phone calls, or something that's recording them that you can listen to at a later point in time. Or if you're just standing next to them listening and making sure that you have the right person in place that's going to put your company's best foot forward every time that they answer the phone. And you don't really have to necessarily worry so much about having someone with industry experience, right? They don't need to be an electrician or a plumber. They need to have a good personality. They need to be able to talk to people, empathize, understand them, learn your products and services, be able to have a conversation with someone that calls in, and just to have an overall, generally, good personality when it comes to, and knowing their role in the job. Knowing that, hey, the phone's going to ring today multiple times, and I need to have the same conversation. I may need to have that same conversation 10 times a day. And for a lot of people, that can sometimes, wear on them, that you're having to have these same conversations. I just told another customer the same thing. Every conversation is a new conversation. Every customer is a new person. And that's the part about getting the right personality into this position to answer your phone calls. So those are the 9 tips that I had for you today when it comes to improving your customer service skills, either for yourself or your CSRs. And I think one of the things you just need to keep in mind is that a phone call is the beginning of your relationship with that customer. And so you really just need to make sure that you are putting every effort into that first impression, that first phone call, going as smoothly as possible, and building the foundation of a great, hopefully long-lasting relationship. And the better you do it on the front end, the less work you have to do on the back end, and the more opportunities you're going to have have those relationships. If you're killing it on the beginning of that first phone call and you're not getting the conversion, basically, right? You're getting a ton of calls, but it's just not converting, then something is broken with that process. That means that the person answering that phone call may not be the one that needs to be doing it. Something is not going right if you're getting lots of phone calls, but you're not converting them into actual customers. And so this is a great way to sort of start and review that process with your CSR team to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward as a company and getting every opportunity to close business on an everyday basis. So honing your phone skills isn't, is a skill like all other things. It's something that has to be, nurtured and learned. The next phone call may become a customer for life, and you want to make sure that you have the opportunity to make that happen. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Contractor Cast. As always, if you enjoyed this content, be sure to leave us any comments. If you have questions, we try to get back to those. If you are needing help with your CSR team and would like for us to, talk with you and analyze what's going on in your company, be sure to reach out to us either through our website or giving us a call directly. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again next time.